Yeah.
Which was one of my favorite hanging out places.
Yeah.
Places as a child. Not again politics, but I did read the other day that some of those observatories were endangered by closing. Do you know anything about that?
National Radio Astronomy Observatory. This is a national facility. There's also the National Optical Astronomy Observatory, primarily on Kitt Peak in Arizona. All of these are endangered in terms of funding. There are a lot of things in science which are endangered. Now, one of the things that has happened is that as telescopes get larger and more expensive, in order to have the purpose of a large telescope, you hear about these massive things, they collect more light. It's like having a rain bucket. You collect more rain in a wider bucket, you collect more light in a wider mirror. So you can see farther into the distance and the fainter objects. These things are important, but for years now, the funding has all been taken out of these small workhorses. When I say small, they're still massive telescopes, like at NRAO at Green Bank, and been sort of sucked up by the big ones. But right now, and again, as you say, without getting into the politics of it all, because this is not new. Science has been under assault for a very long time. There are a lot of things going on here. When I go to other countries who cherish the science and look to the U.S. as the leader, when I tell them the situation here, they're shocked. They don't understand how it's possible that we are having the same problems they are, or worse in some cases. So yes, it is really a crisis right now with a lot of major science, and astronomy in particular. The thing is that the average person, and I include in that senators and congressmen and women, which may be giving them a little benefit of the doubt in many cases, to call them average, but they don't understand the benefit of astronomy. They say, this is not practical. Well, how is this going to help us? Well, I understand you're a climate scientist. We have one Earth to study, and we have some evidence of what has happened in the past that we can use to extrapolate to the future. But there are a lot of planets out there that we can study and should study. You know, why are Earth and Venus so different when there's so much the same in many ways?
I think also that needs to there needs to be an information campaign by NASA to let the public know what's going on. I'm very concerned. It's not, you know, you probably received sort of a message from the administrator calling for the closing of the Department of Education and NASA. These are big issues. And it has impacts on this kind of work. It has impact on the good sciences, and I'm not sure that message is getting out.
Well, I can tell you, I mean, what you just alluded to is not something new. All the education in NASA. They have, I know a lot of people that have worked either for NASA or are working for NASA or have used grants from NASA for public outreach and education. There's been a tremendous effort, and it's constantly being slashed. It's like they are under siege all the time. And they will spend 5 years developing a program that's highly successful. And then, and I'm not kidding about 5 years, because I've talked to insiders there, say, yeah, it's about every 5 years. Somebody comes in and redoes everything, and all these programs are gone. It's an enormous waste. So NASA does the best it can. You know, I know a lot of people, and I think they are doing everything they can, but it is kind of chaotic. And on top of the chaos, every once in a while somebody comes in and just stirs it up and starts over. So I agree with you, and a lot of people agree with you. But we need to make it apparent to the people who control the purse strings that these are important for the future of the country. Yeah.
Mike.
Thank you for
Oh, I'm very glad to. Thank you.
Same here, Mike. I have a comment and a question. First of all, thank you for doing all this fascinating work, and we love your organization. We have several educators in our club, and what resonated with me a lot is is what you said about looking at the same sky, the same stars. We're all under the same, and the universality of all of that is something we should share across the globe. So I totally buy into that, and so I love your organization. Sometimes we tend to focus too much on our diversity and differences, and I think we need to come back on what we do share in common. So that really rang true with me. And secondly, how could I get schools involved that I already have in mind that would benefit from this program? Because I have a school that I'm connected to in Peru in a very poor area that would totally benefit, as well as in Thailand. So how can we tap into this wonderful program?
Yeah, well, as much as there are funding difficulties in NASA and other things in science, we are really, really small time. So there is very little that we can do compared to the need. I mean, I need 100 times the funding to be able to do everything. So we do have programs in Global Astronomy Month, for example, that they can take part in. But we don't have something where we can involve every school around the world in some way, as much as I'd love to. So I would say that would be a place for them to tap into in the first place if they're interested in one of those contests. Maybe learn more about what we're doing. If anybody has an idea or has a need that fits into the small-time stuff that we do, I'd be glad to hear about it. So for the Eclipse program, schools that are here, I mean, we're focusing on underserved. We're not going to tell anybody else you can't have the stuff, you know, so.
Underserved, that's what I'm thinking of my school.
Well, they are, and, you know, many times, this is an interesting thing. We'll have something for where we're supporting the schools in other countries. And I'll get a comment from somebody, well, why don't we help the schools here first? And I'll say, where is here? Where are you? You know, they assume that everybody's in the U.S.
Yeah.
And it's those times I wish I was not, so I could, you know, but I am. And so this is one of the things we're doing. There is a need here, but I don't think people understand the need in other places. And I also don't think that people, for the most part, understand what we get out of the things that that being the U.S. government does in foreign aid and other things, and how that pays us back 100 times over, because they have no experience with it. You know, the thing is that when I first started doing this, it's because I was dismayed by the lack of knowledge of the rest of the world of Americans. Now, I don't fault Americans. Everybody pays attention to what's important to them, and an election in Zimbabwe doesn't affect us. But an election in the U.S. affects the people in Zimbabwe, so they know. I was at dinner at somebody's house in Iraq, and his father could recite all the presidents of the U.S. in order. I'm kind of a presidential historian nut, and I can't do that. But the other thing is we really are isolated. We don't have a need to look out at the rest of the world, except, you know, I got lots of questions after 9/11 and so on. But, and we're isolated geographically. You know, we're not. So, you know, we're surrounded by oceans. So, I don't even remember how I started on that right now.
No, I love it. Keep going.
Yeah, but it really is important, and we need to have more of this. But people don't really understand how that's important to us and how it matters what happens with the students in a poor school in Peru or in Thailand who may, and I work with people all over the world, and I have to tell you that the most amazing people that I've ever met, sometimes, not only because they have the same native ability that we do, but far greater drive because it's necessary, are in places like Nigeria or Sri Lanka. They're amazing, and I know there are a lot of other people there who just never have the opportunity. Very few will.
Thank you. I found you on Facebook and I reposted it, so hopefully the rest of the, I guess, the high schoolers that are on Facebook will find you and promote it on social media.
I'm going to be berated by our social media people for not telling them I was doing this so they could advertise it and make a big deal out of it, but I'll do it after the fact. So thank you for that. That will remind me.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.